there was one other big thing that we need to talk about.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And that is that for the like fourth time, I think Sting is retiring, which for a professional wrestler is like insanely low.
Yeah.
In terms of number of retirements, Sting is announced he is going to retire. He's going to wrestle his last match at Revolution next year,
Revolution.
which is in what,
It's in
February?
February, so
Yeah,
like 5 months away. So.
and he's going to retire, but he didn't give us any details on like how it's going to happen or whatever, and so it begs the question like who Sting's final opponent should be.
Yeah, so I'm assuming what we saw on Dynamite last week was the beginning of a story that's going to take like 5 months and conclude at Revolution, because it started off. I mean, I I don't know if they should have done that in the ring, like announcing that he's going to retire, because it bummed the crowd out. Like the crowd was like,
Oh,
but we're like
I like that
everybody's kind of enjoyed Sting's run in AEW, right? So he comes out now and says, "You're not gonna see this for much longer." Like it's kind of a downer for the crowd, right? So I felt it was like kind of a weird way to start. But I'm assuming that now on Dynamite this week, which starts in like 3 minutes, Tony Khan is going to have some gift for him, and I'm sure that'll lead into something, and it'll lead into something. But at the very end, he's going to have a match. So what do we think that match is? Like, what is the last match in Sting's career? It's like coming up with a season finale for a show that's run 12 seasons. Like, how do you do it? Like with 12 seasons being like 40 years, like in TV time. So just if you needed the analogy explained more, that's
because he is literally the last man standing.
Oh yeah.
From the era
he's
the
the Simpsons of the professional wrestling.
He
right?
really is. He's had times where you're like, it's not so great, and times where it's like, oh no, it's just as good as it ever was.
Yeah. I wonder, like, because Sting started to get big around the mid 80s. I don't know when this first episode of The Simpsons is, but
88 or 89, I think.
Oh, okay. So Sting predates okay, think about that. Sting was a professional wrestler before The Simpsons started making episodes. So
that is insane.
So like in the same way that like, how would you wrap up The Simpsons? You've got 30 minutes, and how like is Milhouse going to even get any time? What's his role? So
I thought Tony Khan was Milhouse, but
so who's involved in Sting's last match?
Well, I think that involved is the right word, because I think that you plan to have as many people of significance to Sting as you can involved in the match somehow.
Yeah.
Like causing a distraction or being a trainer, doing a promo, doing something leading up to it. Like you just pepper this whole next 5 months with people that are important to Sting. The only other thing that kind of you can do is try to find a new star who needs the rub of retiring Sting. And I don't know if Tony Khan is in the business of making new stars like that yet, but this would be a very interesting experiment to see if he could.
What about does Darby beat Sting in his final match?
Maybe
and then you do a lot of like smoke and mirrors and stuff like that. It's also possible when they originally signed Sting, they originally signed him to do cinematic matches, and there was no talk of him wrestling, right?
It'd be, seeing the Undertaker retire at a cinematic match kind of would take the, I guess, the stigma off of that a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, but it's also just a way to extend the lifespan of your stars, right? Like, that's why I think like, I think they could have gotten a few more pay-per-view buys or Peacock subscriptions out of some more Undertaker cinematic matches, but I guess he just, that was probably something he decided, like, no, I'll do these stand-up things, stand-up shows all across the country, I guess.
Because if there's one person in the world who should do stand-up comedy, Is Mark the Undertaker Calloway.
That's what I would like. Like eventually he'll run out of stories, right? And it's like, okay, Mark, go. Let's go the other way with this. I want you to do your best Seinfeld impression.
I want to see him doing observational humor. Like I want to see the Undertaker's take on like what's the deal with he's got like a little daughter, so he's like, I had to put together my kid's bike, it was crazy, the instructions were in Chinese. That's the joke. No, actually I'm sure he'd be very good at it. He's quite entertaining, but anyway.
So like a cinematic match could be, and I thought it would be so cool if you could de-age some of his contemporaries. Like in the same way, it was like, if Mark Hamill was Luke Skywalker in The Mandalorian a few years ago, why can't we get like at least Ric Flair from the 90s, if not from the 80s or the 70s, right?
Yeah, he doesn't look that much different, to be honest. He just doesn't quite have the same gusto, I guess. They could do like a Sting versus Sting thing.
Yeah, you were saying that before. I thought that was a great idea. What
they could find some young kid who looks a lot like Surfer Sting did in the 80s or whatever, and paint him up and tell him to just be Sting, and not in like a fake Undertaker kind of way, but more in like a facing your past kind of way, which leads into the whole cinematic match thing. Like, wouldn't it be amazing if Sting had a cinematic match where he had to battle different versions of himself?
Yeah, he like traveled throughout his career.
Yeah.
Like went. Yeah, I think something like that would be cool. Like just a match, just like a singles match or a tag match.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like you're never you're never gonna land it completely. It's never.
And then you end up wrestling Baron Corbin at WrestleMania.
Exactly.
And it's and Sting, I think, because he's had that longevity, he's had that incredible career. Like it, I almost wonder too if it's not, not doing like a straight up match is a bit like that's what Sting came up in. That's what he's known for, is straight up matches. Doing a cinematic match might feel a little bit like a cop out.
Yeah.
My suggestion is, can't it be both?
Yeah, I think that's an idea if you could combine it. The other question is like, I hope he's not hurt. There's a chance he's hurt, right? Like,
I'm sure he's hurt.
I'm sure he's hurt. No, but he might be like
wrestler.
But there's a chance he might be done already, and
a
cinematic match was just gonna cover for it.
Okay.
Like the guy is in his mid 60s. The chances that something has happened, I mean, maybe,
it's entirely possible. I mean,
that was one thing I thought was like, oh damn, like it just went through my mind. I was like, I wonder if he's hurt, because he had been away for a bit, but I don't know.
Yeah, he hasn't. I mean, he did some stuff early on, but I guess probably the last year or so. Has there been any like super physicality to what he's been doing, or is it a menacing thing? I'm not sure. I can't remember.
Like back in the summer, they did a show from Hamilton, and he jumped from the ropes through a table on the floor.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
I
don't know if he needs to be doing that,
Like, no, he's and that's the thing is we as fans get to a point where we're just like, Sting, that's enough, man.
Like, but see, there appears to be nobody in AEW that'll be like, no, guys, don't do that. What are you thinking? You're not allowed to just do whatever.
Well, there was, but then he got drummed out of the company by Jack Perry. So,
yeah, we had to come up with like a few rules.
Maybe this is all just a big ruse to bring back CM Punk in a Sting costume. God. We're gonna get our money's worth out of him.
I just get up and leave. I'd be like, I don't know what this is, but I'm out. Okay. I don't know. I don't care. I'm out. This is awful.
And it's not even like a good Sting costume.
Just grabs the mic. What's this about, huh?
Store bought. Phenomenal.
But yeah, it'll be interesting because I'm sure Tony Khan is going to further that story.
Yeah. Well, I heard he
Yeah,
had a big announcement on Dynamite.
yeah, he's
So
got like some gift for
yeah.
Sting, and you figure it's like could he be the first guy in the AEW Hall of Fame? Some people are.
Hmm.
Um,
Maybe this is one of those things where he's like, hey, you're already retired kind of thing, so we're going to put you in the Hall of Fame. We're going to do tributes to you. It's going to be great. And Sting's like, no, man, no, the Stinger can still splash. Because if that was his catchphrase or something, you know,
I like
that kind of thing.
like somebody brought up to me. I was like, isn't it funny that they're not using the Impact Wrestling name anymore? And Tony Khan is this gift for Sting. Do you think did he buy Impact Wrestling? Is he giving it to Sting?